guys.
I feel like I'm on a skateboard compared to my old boat. Hey, Buzz.
Hi, Trevor.
Water temperature is 44.9.
Came up a bit.
42 and up, they start biting bait pretty good.
Hey everybody, Tony Amato here from Salmon Trout Steelheader, and today we're fishing the Lower Sandy River here in Troutdale, Oregon. And on board today we've got Ben Walczak right here. He's with the ODFW. And then right here we've got Buzz Ramsey.
Good morning.
And then today we're going to be fishing with guide Jack Glass. He's lived here his whole life, guided some famous people that have come out here to fish for some big fish. And today we're going to be targeting, what are we going to be fishing for today, Jack?
Anything we can catch. No, we're targeting spring Chinook and possibly summer steelhead. It is early in the season, but the water conditions are ideal. We got really nice weather, so we thought we'd come over here. It's real quiet today, not many people, because there hasn't been many reports of fish yet. And we're going to try it out. So it's a little early for this watershed, but we're going to see what we can find. Well, we tried to pass down below and we ran up a little ways, try another spot. You know, we're gonna make several runs looking for potentially a summer steelhead, maybe a spring Chinook, even a late wild winter steelhead still come through at this time of year, or even a downstream winter steelhead. There's a number of fish that are in this watershed at this time. Never know what it might be. We're back balancing. We got a couple rods back balancing, and then we got a diver and bait out, and then a couple of plug rods. And mind you that 3 of us in here have got 2-rod endorsement, and that's allowed on the Sandy River to fish 2 rods if you have the endorsement. And the limit here is actually you can have 2 hatchery spring Chinook and 1 hatchery steelhead. So there is a 3-fish limit here on the Sandy, which is pretty unique. Sandy and Clackamas are the same, and we got great fishing all the way through 4th of July here on the Sandy and Clackamas watersheds. So one that we can really enjoy. The opportunity's there. Go out and take advantage of it.
Willie Illingworth, the guy that started the Illingworth boats, which was the first aluminum drift boat on the market. He and later Willie Boats. He sold Illingworth, his first boat company, aluminum boat company. And he sold it to his business partner because they weren't getting along. And then he had a 6-year non-compete, and then he started Willie Boats, which when he passed away, he turned that business over to his employees. So anyway, Willie, when he was sick with cancer and knew he was terminal, I was calling him every few days because we were pretty good friends. And I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm shopping vials." I go, "Vials?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "When I pass," he goes, "I'm going to get cremated, and I'm going to have them put my ashes in these vials, and I'm going to give them to all my friends so they can take me fishing and hunting." Typical Willie thing, you know. So Jack, show him what you got.
Well, I'm one of the lucky recipients of such a thing, to take Willie fishing with me all the time. And there's a few words of wisdom from Willie. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. And you go to heaven for the climate, and you go to hell for the company. Words of wisdom from Willie. Typical Willie stuff. I knew Willie a long time, not quite as long as Buzz, but he was quite a Quite a guy, quite an individual. He's rough and crude, but if he liked you, I can't get it out there. There we go. Got along with him really well. Here's his vial. I take Willie fishing with me all the time. Very well. I should have run it, but
Buzz Ramsey joined us today, and he's already been out and caught a few springers. Hey Buzz, can you tell us about where you've been, what you've been up to?
Well, I'm probably like a lot of anglers out there. I've been chasing spring Chinook this year. Started on the Columbia, and I think I fished, of course, the early season. You know, we get a season on the Columbia. It starts, I think, the first of the year and below I-5, west of I-5, the Interstate 5 bridge. And then March 1st, it'll open somewhere above there. And this year it opened up, kind of like it's been several years, it opened up to Beacon Rock for boat fishing, and bank fishing went up to the deadline below Bonneville. I made 4 trips, and of course, at that time of the year, you know, we're fishing really before the run shows up, but there's a few. Took me 4 trips, and I got 1 spring Chinook down that lower Columbia, and it was a pretty nice one, but so it was good to catch a springer. And then, of course, the season closed because of the numbers over Bonneville weren't meeting expectations, likely because of the cool water and the fact that there was a ton of smelt in the lower Columbia that was holding those Chinook down there. I mean, some of the guys I know caught spring Chinook down there in the lower Columbia, and they'd have 15, 18 smelt in them. I mean, they were down there hogging up on the smelt instead of moving up the river. So it's probably a good thing long-term for the fish, because it's a big protein boost before they head up maybe to Idaho or some of the upper stretches of the Columbia. And then I made a trip. I got an invitation to go down and fish the Rogue River for spring Chinook. Of course, Rogue runs into the ocean down at Gold Beach in Southern Oregon. Went down there, and that fishery down there is really unique. And it's been a few years since I'd been down there. It's an anchor fishery in the lower river on spring Chinook. Unlike in the fall, the whole fishery is in the bay, right there by the 101 bridge and west of it. But for spring Chinook, those fish tend to move in through the bay, up the river, on the tide. And so they're moving fish. So in that lower river, it's an anchor fishery. We anchored in 6 foot of water and fished an anchovy rig with a little spinner blade above it, a leader, you know, 48 inches long, maybe a 17-inch weight dropper line, and just bounced it out behind the boat 30 feet and sat there in a migration lane. And we did pretty well for springer, especially early season. This was in April, and the fishery really starts about now, May. May is the month down there in the lower river for the peak of the spring Chinook migration through that section. And anyway, I came home with 3 spring Chinook, and they're big fat footballs. They average 20 pounds. And this year's run on the Rogue is one of the best in recent years. And some of the guides are speculating that the reason it's better this year is because traditionally the hatchery component, there's hatchery and wild fish there, you have to release the wilds. But the hatchery component is normally they're all released up at Lost Creek Reservoir, or Lost Creek, at the hatchery up at Lost Creek Dam. This year, or several years ago, they brought 100,000 of those smolt, juvenile hatchery fish, down and released them in the estuary. And everyone's speculating that the reason the early fishing was so good, maybe the whole season will be really good, likely, those fish come back and they linger and move up the river slower, and probably some upriver bound fish move slower with them too, because fish like fish. So anyway, that was really a fun deal, and a hard fighting fish. And then this last week I've been fishing up at the Wind River in Drano, mostly the Wind River, and it's been kind of a slow start on the Wind. They've had some good days so far, at a few good days on Drano, but the Wind has been a lot more scratchy. You know, a few guys will always catch them, but anyway, I fished 3 days up there, and we caught 1 each day. That's pretty tough springer fishing, but it's going to get better. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. I hope to see you on the water out there chasing one of these spring Chinook or summer steelhead. So we got little deer, Thuringer, that I had made at Otto's here in Portland, out on Woodstock. I think it's Woodstock Street or whatever. Anyway, you're in charge, Ben.
All right, thank you.
Food.
Thank you, Buzz.
So we're fishing in the Hogs and Dogs tournament at Oregon City. And there's and Willie and I, and I think his buddy Dan Baxter, they used to have Baxter Andy and Bax, sold rafts and stuff. And I can't remember who else was with us. But anyway, we're fishing with John Winter in this fundraiser. And we caught 3 spring Chinook that morning. And fishing was pretty good. And there was a few other boats and stuff up there at Oregon City. We're back trolling. And pretty soon here's this sheriff boat. He's got big sheriff letters on the side of the boat, like this high. Big sheriff down the side. And so we see him, and he's running around checking boats, checking licenses, looking for life jackets and all this. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, he's gonna come here and crash into us. We're gonna have to show him our license and everything, which is fine. And pretty quick, he comes over. He's kind of plowing over towards us with his boat, and I think he's gonna check us. And he gets, 20 feet away, 30 feet away, and Willie, and he goes like this, and Willie goes, pretty dry out here. And the sheriff goes like this again, and he takes off. And he comes back about 2 hours, about an hour and a half maybe later. The sheriff boat comes plowing back over towards us and gets pretty close, and he's kind of keeping with us, and Willie gets all excited. And the sheriff pulls out from underneath this console this bag, and he throws it to Willie. Willie's all excited, he catches it, he pulls down the wrapper, the paper bag, and it's a bottle of tequila. Takes the lid off, throws it in the river, glug, 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 glug. Thanks. Okay? Now what I should have told you at the beginning of this, if you went down to buy a boat from Willie, he would either get you drunk or stoned. Okay? And that's just what he did. If he could get away with it, he would. And so, anyway, after, the sheriff boat, he takes off, and Willie's kind of beaming, and he looks at all of us, and he goes, I sold him a boat.
Oh my gosh, guys. Fish on. Still there? You feel it? You feel it? All right. Nice. Look at this guy. Hey, didn't you just take my seat a little while ago?
I just took your seat up the hot side of the boat.
And the river's just starting to heat up. It's gonna be more fish showing up, more Chinook anyway.
Yeah.
Feels like a Chinook.
Oh, I think it's dogging it. Diving deep, staying down. Oh, look at the chrome. So I think we're gonna have Buzz take my seat next. What do you guys think, huh? I think seems to be where the hot spot is.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, this fish is fighting hard. Just getting started.
That branch here, we're gonna go underneath it. Pull past it.
Just getting started.
Let me get around you here. Get the net.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Stay up there.
Well, it's making a run for the mountain, looks like.
Go underneath it, all right? Should have.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
there you go.
gonna get out of the line of fire there.
Kick it in gear.
Ooh,
Oh,
another
wild.
salmon.
Oh, it's a chrome piece.
Beautiful Chinook.
Well, it's gonna pop up the surface here, maybe. There it is. Oh yeah.
Jeez, another big one. Jeez, man.
Nice.
Look at them fish you're producing. Good Lord. A nice one.
It is fighting hard.
Yeah. Big one. That's a nice
It's like making a run upstream, then it does the death twirl back down.
This is a strong fish.
Oh yeah.
50 feet to go, Jack.
Oh, it's getting close.
It will only show one fish.
Getting close. There it is.
Yeah, one fish should be fine. That's a big one.
Yes, it is. Nice.
Come on back here, Ben.
Yeah, come back here.
All right, doing the walk to the back of the boat. fish does not want to cooperate, but that's what they do. Oh wow, that is a beauty.
One more turn, maybe. No.
Look at that beauty.
There we go.
Nice. Sweet.
Nice.
Give us some skin, buddy. Look, oh my goodness. Look at that, you guys. That is a pig. Beautiful.
Nice job.
See you later, fish.
That was a nice fish.
Raise them big, Ben.
Yeah,
Raise them big.
yeah.
There
Thank
you go.
you. Yeah.
Good job.
That's cool.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh man, you did it. I just drive the boat.
We just got a crow piece, and we're gonna head back up and make another pass.
So Ben caught that fish back bouncing earlier, and back bouncing really started on the Rogue River. My understanding, back bouncing was the method on the Rogue, and the best fishery in the Rogue River, I don't know about best, but one of the big fisheries in the Rogue River was for spring salmon. Rogue always had a big run of spring salmon, and they would swim up into the upper river, move through the lower river, and get up in that upper river and hold over all summer long, and they don't spawn till fall. So they hold over in those deep holes. And Willie told me that back bouncing really evolved from the old method, according to him, was with your drip boat at least, was to be on the side of the river, drop your bait in the water with a sinker or a bait of eggs, and then row the drip boat across the river, and then kind of lift and lower your rod and walk, swing your weight and trailing bait across the stream. And that's what they would do. So they'd row over and place their gear in the water, then they'd row off to the side and kind of hunt and peck and swing it through there. Well, one of the guides by the name of Arnold Gosnell, as I remember Willie telling me, he had a client that caught a fish, and he was out in the current in the river rowing to get back where they wanted to go, and the client dropped his rig to the bottom and just started pumping it out straight below the boat. Straight below the boat, and hooked a fish. And they landed it, and Arnold thought, well, let's try that again. And so they went out there, and pretty quick, everyone was out there in the middle of the river rowing their drip boats and holding steady, particularly in the deeper, maybe roily holes, and back bouncing their salmon egg clusters through there, back bouncing. And of course, the exchange of techniques by sport anglers and guides, guides are kind of, they're following the various fisheries around. And so over the coming years, there was a big exchange of techniques, whether it was back bouncing or back trolling, bait wrapped, quick fish or flat fish. There's been this big exchange of techniques over the years, and of course techniques seems like always changing. But anyway, that's a story as told to me by Willie Illingworth about back bouncing.
Here with Ben Walczak. He's with the ODFW, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the restoration work that's been going on around the state. And here's Ben right here.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So on the Sandy River in particular, we're right down in the delta where it meets the Columbia, and one of our first projects is right behind us. We put a hole in this a dike here, and 10 years ago there was no water back there, and now you can run a boat at these levels all the way through to the Columbia. And this is the main now back over here, which is really cool. It's a lot of complexity for fish, a lot of protection out of the main current. And you can see there's quite a bit of flow. It's been a pretty successful project. And then if we move upstream, a whole bunch of partners have been working since Marmot Dam came out and before that to do restoration all the way up to the headwaters. So it involves taking fish passage, so culverts, turning culverts into bridges or fish-friendly culverts, large wood projects, planting projects. Planting is very important to keep the water temperatures low. Invasive species projects. It's a collaborative effort between everyone to kind of get the fish runs back up to where we would like. Our ultimate goal is to have these fish runs be delisted from the Endangered Species Act. And it does take a village to do it, and it'll take a long time, and it'll continue to take time. But the Sandy's been very successful in our restoration. The group really works together and is high functioning, and ODFW is really proud to be a part of that, and we're starting to see some of the benefits in how we can manage fish and fisheries because of that work.
You know, another thing that Ben can be proud of here is just the fact that Oregon is doing a really good job with their hatchery programs. If you look, you can look to the north and to the south, and I hate to say it, things aren't so good, and maybe they need to learn a little bit. But what are some of the other, I guess, big wins for the state of Oregon?
Well, I think, you know, on the Sandy in particular, which is we're almost familiar with, is that PGE decided almost 20 years ago now to take out Marmot Dam, and that was at the time one of the largest dam removals in the United States. And after that, there's been a tremendous amount of work. Like I said, the restoration work, there's been program shifts as well with ODFW and what we do and how we do things as far as on our hatchery front. And so we're getting benefits from wild fish. Last year we had about 6,000 wild spring Chinook returning to the Sandy, and we had about 4,000 hatchery fish also returning to the Sandy. So that's 10,000 total springers in the Sandy. Winter steelhead is also, since we took the dam out, on a generally increasing trend, as well as coho. The Sandy generally outproduces all the other basins in the lower Columbia, so everything below Bonneville. Again, everything is mostly in the last 20 years in a generally increasing trend, and so because of all these actions by this whole group and collaborative effort, things have really started to change, and there are actual opportunities to fish on the Sandy, you know, fairly consistently year round, and it's because of everyone working together to get something done.
We had a great day today. We were fishing the lower Sandy here in Troutdale, and I want to thank Buzz. He gave me the invite.
You bet.
And then we got Ben here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jack.
He was
Buzz fishing with you.
Ben was the hot rod, that is for sure. And then especially want to thank Jack Glass. He got us into a fish today, and the weather's been beautiful. And so Jack, tell us about all the great things you can do around Troutdale.
Oh, Troutdale is a great spot. It's the entrance to the Columbia River Gorge, and there's all kinds of stores, a factory outlet mall. Little downtown Troutdale's got a lot of restaurants. Got to even have a food cart now. Whoever thought of food carts? But it's quite successful. There are people in there all the time. And I've eaten there several times, so it's a pretty neat place to visit. Well, we had a good day today, and as we went out, we said, well, we hope we catch something. And by God, we got one, and it turned out to be a wild one, which there's a lot of wild fish in here. We tend to catch more wild than hatcheries, but that's a good thing to have a lot of wild stocks that we're going to be able to continue fishing. Ben has put in enormous amounts of work here on the Sandy to help with our winter steelhead and coho and spring Chinook program, and so I have fished it for years and really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of opportunity out here, there's no question about that. And I'm going to fish in here through by 4th of July, and that's kind of my main time in here. Like I said, we were fortunate to catch one today, and we were a little bit early. So the Willamette was a little bit off color today, so I thought, well, let's come over and try this today. You never know. So we were just kind of scouting, and we were fortunate. So, but great experience out here. I think all these guys and yourself being here and having a good day on the river. It's always good to have nice days out.